Well, we're excited to be 3-0, and obviously, I thought us defending our home games is important to us here, and with an in-state school coming in, it was important to us to play well and to get that win, and love the energy in the stadium. Hopefully, we can continue to build that and make it even more exciting for our home games. And I thought we played really good on defense. I thought outside of one play, thought we played really outstanding on defense, and offensively was solid. Not our best, but solid. And special teams cost us 10 points. So that's the game should have been more in hand at halftime had our special teams played a little better. That penalty and the fumble really hurt us. It's third straight game that our offense hasn't turned it over, which is important to us. Defense got a takeaway, but really thought the third quarter, our defense was outstanding. We were able to stick in a couple to kind of make us feel more comfortable about the game. So good night. Excited to be 3-0, and obviously a short week this week to get ready for a very, very difficult opponent in Syracuse.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll open it up to questions from the media as we visit here with head coach Hugh Freeze. We'll go ahead and start with Damian Sordelab from the Lynchburg News in Advance.
Hey, Hugh, you mentioned after the game you were going to get some x-rays on Aiden Owls to see how in the clavicle area. Have the results come back yet?
Yeah, I think he'll play this week. He's sore, but doesn't appear to be anything significant, so we're thankful for that.
Let's go to Thomas Wilkerson from 90.9 The Lake.
Hey, Coach, there's a lot of history between these two teams. 2 years ago, they came in here and they beat y'all. Last year, y'all went to their place and beat them. Sort of a little rivalry game, people are calling it. How important is this win for y'all?
Every game to me is important. I don't consider this a huge rivalry game right now, but it is a great opportunity. And I'm sure they're not happy that we were able to beat them at their place last year. So I'm quite sure that we'll get their best attention. And they're a heck of a football team, and their roster is probably better than ours. But we're going to put a good plan together, and obviously hope to play well on Friday night on TV up in Syracuse. But man, Dino is a heck of a ball coach, heck of a guy too. Really like him a lot, and his wife. They're just good people, and his kids are playing really hard for him and playing really confident right now. So it'll be a great challenge, but we're certainly looking forward to those opportunities that we get.
Coach, what's the update on Johnny Huntley? I know he had to come out of the ball game there in the second half.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine.
Let's go to John Manson from the Sea of Red.
Hey, Coach, Tom Sargent's a guy that I know he came in before you got to Liberty, but was a walk-on, and he's now started 50 straight games at center and been a big part of the team and the program making the transition from the FCS to the FBS. How much does having a guy, a leader like him, a person like him, mean to this team as you guys have made this transition and ascension the last couple of years?
Well, Tom's really what's all really good about college athletics. I mean, the kid had to earn everything that came to him, and now he's a team captain and started 50-something games in a row, and it's just you wouldn't choose him out of a lineup to be your anchor in the middle, but that's what's great about the human spirit and effort and work and development and dedication and commitment and discipline. And Tom is a poster board for all of that. And so I'm just real thrilled that he's experienced some success that came with all of his sacrifice and hard work.
Let's go next to Ed Lane from the Virginia Talk Radio Network.
Hugh, last time when you went up to Syracuse last year, it was obviously different atmospheric circumstances than what you guys will likely be facing on Friday night. How do you get your team ready for the difference in the Dome last year to this year?
I mean, we don't take anything for granted. We'll certainly we'll prepare like we did for an away game at Troy with some crowd noise, but really that's all that should be different to us. Is it might be a little louder. You know, we don't expect to have people cheering for us. We get that. So, but that has nothing to do with our execution of our game plan or our effort, and so that's the only thing that I'm concerned about. Is we'll prepare a little bit for some crowd noise, but it's more about the execution and the physical play.
Go back to Damien.
Last year, Sean Tucker had a pretty good game running the ball, but he didn't have any receptions. And we saw this past week, not only was he a threat running the ball, but a threat catching the ball out of the backfield. What have you seen in the development of his game from one year to the next of how vital he is to that Syracuse offense?
Well, I mean, he put together one of the best rookie seasons in the history of Syracuse football. So he had a great year last year too, and we were impressed with him then, and we're even more impressed with him now. So, I mean, he's a really good running back. Their offense is, they had two quarterbacks that they play some, so you have to kind of prepare a little differently for each. And, number 3 is, I think, Harris. He literally is, he's one of the best receivers I've ever seen on tape. He's that good. And so it's experienced offensive line. Obviously they're playing with a lot of confidence right now. So it's a tall task for us, stopping the run and the pass. So, and then, heck, you turn your attention to their defense. They're ranked 4th in the nation right now in total defense, giving up 60 yards rushing and only about 160 in passing. So D-line is a problem. They're really, really active, playing extremely hard, and it's by far the best unit we've faced this year.
John?
Obviously, Malik is a big part of your offense's run game. But what's your thoughts on your running back room so far this year through the first 3 games?
We certainly could be better, I think, but I know we have the potential to be. And there's been times they've done really well. So, I'm not down at all on our running back room. I think that it's a combination when you don't run the ball as effectively as you would like. It's not just the running backs; it's a lot of people involved in that. If that's an issue, but we've been able to average over 4 yards a run all season, which is our goal. So I'm somewhat pleased to this point.
Damien?
You were able to get Cooper McCall some snaps there at right tackle in the 4th quarter. Going back on film, how do you think he fared, and was that good to get him some snaps to get him ready for Friday?
Yeah, he did well, and he practiced all morning, so he's ready to go, and hopefully we'll get Big John and Damien back also.
John?
And what about DJ's status this week? Obviously, with a boot on his right foot.
I think he'll play. The latest report was we expected him to start getting some reps toward the end of this, like Wednesday. So we'll see, but I think he'll play.
Damien?
Hugh, what have you noticed about the biggest change Syracuse has made on defense from a year to last, or is it just they're still running the same concepts and the players have just, with another year under their belts, have gotten better?
It's the same coordinator, same defense. They're just playing really well. And I'm sure last year when we played them, they were hurt with the COVID world and all the things that came with that. But they're fast and they're playing at a very, very high level right now defensively. It's going to be a great test for us.
Coach, you mentioned Dino Babers and his wife, and just it sounds like you guys have a pretty good relationship. I mean, what kind of a guy, what kind of a coach is he?
I think he's a player's coach that cares as much about how he treats and coaches his kids off the field and what he's doing to develop them there as much as he is on the field. That's the impression I get from the times I've been around him, and love his personality. He's friendly and outgoing, and I think he's one of those guys that is in this profession that really doesn't have a huge ego and is approachable and easy to talk to. Really have enjoyed the time that we've spent around him and his wife.
You guys been able to play golf together, or is he a golfer?
Oh yeah, he's that's where we spent time is out at Pebble Beach and at the coach's deal, and he's always there, and that's where I've really gotten to know him. I knew of him before that, but just getting to see him interact with everybody there and spend some time around him, I really genuinely like him. He's a genuine guy.
Let's go back to Ed.
Hugh, you mentioned the active defensive line for Syracuse. How much of the ability for you guys to combat that goes obviously on the coaching staff and the line and the receivers, and how much goes on Malik in terms of just quick decision making and being patient as well when the pocket moves around?
I wouldn't put us. We've got to have the right plan to block those guys up front, and obviously it takes great technique and effort from our offensive line. And that will determine how quick Malik has to make reads. And obviously, there's when you're throwing the football, you got to have a little time to get the receivers in the routes, and hopefully we can find a way to protect him decently where he can progress through those routes. But they certainly are very active. And then you throw in there the athletic secondary they had, and so they got some really good young players back there. 20 is really jumps off the tape at you, and so it's, again, I mean, it's a Power 5 school that has Power 5 players, and, this idea that because we beat them last year that we should go up there and that should be the expectation from everybody, that's not the way it works. When you're playing these teams that have good coaches and good players at their place on a short week, it's a difficult task.
Go next to Thomas Wilkerson, excuse me.
I think you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, buddy.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. Coach, you're heavily favored in this game for the first time over an ACC team. What's the mindset going into that?
Look, that's rat poison. I mean, that's. I don't know, man. I don't have a comment on us being favored. I don't feel like that.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
No, it's nothing to be sorry about. Nothing to be sorry about. I just don't see it that way.
Let's go next to Mark Larson.
Hey, Coach. Mark Larson from Spectrum News in Syracuse. Just got out of Dino Baber's press conference, so sorry I'm late. But their quarterback situation is still undetermined, at least according to him. How do you prepare for the two guys? Are they vastly different?
Yeah, just I was talking about that earlier. It is two different type quarterbacks in our eyes. So it is, it's a little different for us. So you may have to have a little different plan. I hope Dino heard all the good things I said about him earlier, by the way. So, but yeah, it's two different quarterbacks for sure.
Go back to John.
Coach, you mentioned, rat poison and guarding against last year and not thinking that's just going to duplicate itself. Is that something that you will address with your team this week to say last year? I know it's something you talked about all preseason and so far this year, but last year's last year and that's in the past as a new game, new team.
Yeah, I hope I don't have to say that anymore. I've been pretty clear. And if our team doesn't know by now of being with me this long that every week you've got to prove yourself and you've got to prepare, and there's nothing that's guaranteed, especially when you're playing a team whose roster is better than yours top to bottom. And that's not a slight on our kids, and that doesn't mean we can't win a football game. But if I have to worry about this week, our kids thinking because we beat somebody last year that you're going to automatically get some brownie points for doing that last year, then man, we're probably not going to win very many games.
Mark, go ahead.
Coach, another question. Obviously, you won here last year inside the dome with no fans in there, and there are going to be fans. I don't know how many, but Friday night, I'm guessing they'll be warmed up, so to speak. What kind of atmosphere do you expect?
I love atmospheres, man. I love going on the road and being in those atmospheres. I hope it's crazy and good, but I really don't know. I've never played in the dome with a crowd, so that certainly it was an eerie feeling last year because I felt like everybody could hear everything I was saying, and it was eerie. So I know it'll be quite different, and we're prepared, obviously, to handle crowd noise. We'll work on that. But I enjoy, coaching in those environments and those arenas. So, and I'm sure the Syracuse kids enjoy having fans in the stands like we do. So that's an added difficulty that we have to prepare for, but it's something that I kind of embrace, and I think our kids should also.
Coach, how about the challenge of the short week? It's only one day, but still, I mean, that speeds up a lot of preparation, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't like I love playing on Thursday or Friday nights. I really would like to have 2 or 3 of those a year. I enjoy those because you get a chance to be on TV, and I particularly, the only thing I don't like is I wish we would have played an early game this past Saturday so that we had a little more recovery time before we had to practice this morning, because I think anytime you practice inside, 36 hours after competing, I'm not sure you get the best practices. And I thought our kids were attentive today and good, but, man, they're still feeling, a late Saturday game for sure. But I enjoy, having a couple of these a year. I hope we can maybe do more of those in the future.
Mark, go ahead.
Okay, last one from me. Sorry, I got one more about the quarterback. So you mentioned they're 2 different guys. Do you have a preference? Which one you'd like to see?
Is there a third option? Maybe their third team guy. That's the one I'd like to see. Did I lose Mark?
Sorry, I had another call come in. Yeah, so that's the option for you.
I'll take option 3. They both present a challenge to us, and it's not just them; it's the players around them. Like I said earlier, number 3 is the best receiver I've seen in a long time, and I think the running backs are really, really solid running back. Those tight ends are big and talented, and so, whichever quarterback it is, I think they both have weapons around them that they can be successful.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Yep.
Let's go back to Damien.
You look at the improvement of Syracuse's offensive line. I saw a stat this morning through the first 3 games last year. They gave up 15 sacks. This year, 3 sacks, albeit last year they played all ACC teams, and this year they've played out-of-conference games. Have you seen an improvement in their offensive line under a new coach that says the 3 sacks you're able and the pressure you're able to get last year may not be duplicated again this year?
What we've seen on tape is a really talented group that has done a really good job against the people they've played, and so, all of us, it's all relative somewhat to how good the teams are you've played, and nobody really knows that yet. It's too early in the season to know, man, just exactly who we are. But it's been obvious to us watching the film that they've performed at a very, very high level for Syracuse thus far. So what we see says that they're very, very good.